What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Murph's Boston Sports Talk. Welcome to Friday's edition. Hopefully you had a wonderful week. The weather has been very cold this past week, and it is raining, and it's even snowing in some parts here in New England. So, holy crap, I thought spring was here, but winter was like, whoa there, boy. I'm still here. So everybody, please be careful out there if it is raining or snowing. We've had a past couple days of some serious inclement weather, so hopefully you are braced up for that. But we do have a lot to talk about in this episode. But first, like I said, thank you everybody so much for downloading, listening, and enjoying. And I really hope you enjoy this episode because we have a lot of stuff to go into. And yes, we will be talking about the mock draft. Or just the draft in general, I should say, including the Patriots. And I really dove deep into the draft, in my spare time to bring you terrific content for this episode because I promised, and I delivered. Patriots draft news because the draft is Thursday, April 29th. We are 13 days away from round one of the 2021 NFL draft, and it is a blaze of stories, news, headlines, details, topics, whatever. And I want to make sure I bring everything I possibly can to you, the listener, as we get closer and closer to April 29th. I don't want to spoil too much about it because, a lot of this episode will be dedicated to the draft, but let me just tell you, I learned a thing or two by doing some mock drafts. Like I said, I'll get into it, but wow, it's just, you kind of have a sense of the draft and, where, the Patriots or other teams may be at in terms of their roster and what they can get in certain positions in the draft in terms of rounds or picks. But once you actually dive deep into it and you kind of finagle with some of the picks in terms of trading or just selecting, it gets nuts. It gets pretty freaking nuts. But first, as always, I do kind of want to brush over the other Boston sports news in terms of the Red Sox, the Bruins, and the Celtics. So as always, I do want to go over those because there are important headlines from all three of those other teams that I want to discuss before I dive into this episode. But before we go any further, I do kind of want to plug my Amazon affiliate links down below in the description if you're watching on YouTube or if you're listening on audio only platforms. If you go over to YouTube and click the description, scroll down a little bit, you will see my Amazon affiliate links. I try to post them on social media once a week or every so often just to kind of keep it recent in my feed. But those Amazon affiliate links really help out both the channel and the podcast because at to no extra cost to you, whatever you purchase on Amazon within 24 hours of simply clicking my link and accessing Amazon through my link, a small percentage goes back to me. And like I said, no extra cost to you, but it greatly helps out both the channel and the podcast as well. You don't have to buy whatever's on the link. So I have my vlogging camera, my computer, my microphone. And if you don't want any of those, that's okay. Just click on the link. It'll bring you to the item. And then you can just go right into the Amazon search bar and search for whatever your heart desires. And you can buy whatever your heart desires. And like I said, whatever the total is that you are purchasing on Amazon, a small percentage will go back to me to no extra cost to you. So if you could please use my Amazon affiliate links, that would be greatly appreciated. And like I said, it would be super helpful. That's no extra cost to you. I want to give a massive shout out to everyone who has either clicked the link simply enough or who have actually bought something using my Amazon affiliate links who have helped out the channel and the podcast. Thank you so much. I don't want to name names because that list is growing rapidly day by day. So thank you again. You know who you are, and it is very appreciated by myself. But let's get into some quick hits. So really quickly, probably the one that I'm going to talk the least about is the Boston Red Sox. I do have to mention that their 9-game winning streak, 9 games, was snapped yesterday with a 4-3 walk-off loss to the Minnesota Twins after a crazy game. So Michael Pineda was shutting down the Red Sox left and right, and the Sox were finally able to get him out of the game in the 8th inning. He was relieved by Hanser Robles, I believe, by the Twins. Bases juiced, 2 outs. Verdugo comes to the plate. The Twins bring in Taylor Rogers, so it's a lefty on lefty matchup. Verdugo was a 9-10 pitch at bat or whatever, fighting off pitches, taking close calls. Next thing you know, he gets an outside pitch and he just slaps it into left field. All 3 runs score. Game tying 3-run double by Alex Verdugo to essentially force the game into. Did it go into extra innings? No, it didn't. It just went to the 9th inning. The bottom of the 9th comes up. Twins go on to win. Very disappointing. Very shitty. But, it is what it is. Sox were able to go on a 9-game winning streak after losing their first 3 games of the season, which not many teams have been able to do. I saw a fact somewhere that the Red Sox were like the only team to do so, or first team in a long time to do so. But nonetheless, winning streak was going to come to an end at some point, but at least we were able to enjoy it. Taking the series in Minnesota, and we're on to the White Sox back home as they play today at 7:10, weather depending. Moving on to the ice, we had the Bruins versus the Islanders last night at the Garden, where the Bruins were able to beat the New York Islanders 4-1. I was able to watch that whole game, and it was awesome. Surprise, Tuukka Rask was able to get the start as he comes back from injury to play in what I mentioned a few times beforehand, that this was a critical game, critical set of games. Yesterday's game, tonight's game against the Islanders, and then Sunday's game against the Capitals. Tuukka got the start. We'll probably see Swayman in tonight, but it was good to see Tuukka back. It looked like he never missed a beat, and he looked really sharp in net. Being a brick wall that we know and love from Tuukka, and sometimes we see the puddly version of him where he just pukes on himself, but that Tuukka was nowhere to be found last night, which was very comforting to see, especially after an extended period of time off. Early in the first period, the Bruins were able to jump out to a 2-0 lead from goals from Brad Marchand and Craig Smith. Again, he has 16 points in his last 14 games. That's over a point per game average. Absolutely incredible. And throughout the rest of the night, we saw another goal from Brad Marchand, which was an empty netter. But I do want to talk about the third goal the Bruins scored, which was by Taylor Hall. Yes, he scores his first goal as a Boston Bruins, his 3rd overall this season. But Taylor Hall nets his first goal versus the New York Islanders on a nifty little play. It wasn't necessarily a breakaway, but good little lead pass. It was him, defender. He kind of gets around the defender and was able to net the puck. Exceptional play, and exactly what we brought Taylor Hall in here to do. So it was really good to see him start to mold and get comfortable being on that second line, as well as Curtis Lazar. He didn't score or get anything, I don't think. Let me check. Points. Where's his name? Curtis Lazar. No, he didn't get any points. He had 1 shot on goal. But Mike Riley, though, I mean, the other acquisition that the Bruins brought in at the trade deadline, played exceptionally well as well. That's a little bit of a tongue twister. But he gets an assist on one of the goals, resulting in 1 point for him. But he was just really that big body, stiff guy on defense that can really shut down the defensive zone for the opposing team. I believe he was on. Whose line was he on? I remember seeing. Was it Lausanne? I think he was playing with Lausanne. I could be wrong, but whenever he was out there, you could see that big body presence that I feel like the Bruins have been missing out on, and it was good to kind of see that daunting figure back there in the defensive end, which is something obviously with Zdeno Chara no longer here, is something that we've been lacking as we've pushed forward with a younger defensive core. So him coming in to kind of give you that big body presence, like I mentioned, was definitely something that was very noticeable last night, and also in the other game, his first game, I should say, against the Sabres. It was a great start to a massive 3-game set of games that I've been talking about for the Boston Bruins, how they need to win. It would be nice if they can win all 3 of them, but I do think that's a tall task to ask, especially with a back-to-back being the second game tonight versus the Islanders and then another one against the Washington Capitals. But I did say Bruins need to win 2 out of 3 games on that West Coast swing that they had, which I'll talk about in a second, and they were able to sweep that West Coast swing of games. So anything is really possible, I guess, especially in terms of Boston sports. You never freaking know. And then lastly, I want to close out with this point for the Bruins is that with this win tonight, Tuukka Rask earned his 300th career win in net. So congratulations to Tuukka Rask, whether you love him or you hate him. An absolute incredible accomplishment and well-deserving nonetheless. I believe he is in sole possession of 26th all-time in the NHL for career wins. So absolutely huge milestone. And whatever happens at the end of this year in terms of Tuukka coming back, re-signing, or leaving for another team, 300 plus wins, by then, absolutely insane. So awesome milestone, especially in a huge pivotal moment like last night's game was for not only him but the team in general. So hopefully they 4-1 win last night. That can give us a little bit momentum to crawl back into the Eastern Conference. As we look at the standings really quickly, you're only 6 points behind the Islanders. Only 6 points behind the Islanders. Come on, keep it going. You're 6-3-1 in your last 10. And, oh man, you just got to keep pushing because the Rangers, they're starting to look legit as a threat in the Eastern Division, as they're 6-2-2 in their last 10 games. But, if we just kind of peek to the top of the ladder board where the Capitals are at, they're 5-5 in their last 10 games. So you win tonight against the Islanders, you win then Sunday against the Capitals, you're going to be there. You're going to be there. So we just got to keep hoping and praying that the Bruins can play their best hockey this weekend. But like I alluded to, let's talk about the Celtics and their swing of games that they had over the past week or so. And it concluded, the 3-game West Coast trip concluded last night in Los Angeles, playing the Los Angeles Lakers, where they actually beat them 121-113. Without LeBron and Anthony Davis, which I'll mention in a second, this was a must-win game. I mean, the Lakers, without LeBron and Anthony Davis, they're still a great team. Not the best team, obviously. But, I mean, it's still a winnable game for the Celtics, and they did. They won, and they've now won 5 games in a row, and they completed that 3-game West Coast stretch of games that I was talking about as they beat the Nuggets, Blazers, and the Los Angeles Lakers. Crucial set of games to really put the Bruins back into the heat of things. I wanted them to just win 2 out of 3 games, but they were able to win 3 out of 3, which was awesome. And now the Celtics have moved into a tie for the 4th seed in the Eastern Conference, with the Atlanta Hawks at 8.5 games back from the Eastern Conference lead. And they're only 5.5 games back from the Milwaukee Bucks for the 3rd seed. I don't think the 3rd seed is possible, even though that gap is starting to shrink just a little bit. You got to be focused on taking sole possession of the 4th seed right now, and then you can kind of figure things out later on. Because at the end of the day, you're only 2 games out from being the 8th seed. I mean, you have a 2-game lead on the Hornets, who are now 10.5 games back from first place, who were recently the 4th seed for a while, but now have fallen to the 8th seed. And that just shows you the pivotal momentum shift that the Eastern Conference pretty much faces every single day, except for the top 3 teams. The Hawks have kind of been that 4-5 seed for a while, but the Hornets were just the 4 seed. Now they're down. Celtics were that 4-5 seed for a while. They were down for a while, crept back up slowly. The Knicks and the Heat, they're kind of holding their own towards the bottom of the pack, but the Knicks, they're only a game behind you and the Hawks for that 4th and 5th seed, respectively. So really, anything is possible in this Eastern Conference. That's why those games on the West Coast were crucial, because now you come back home to play the Warriors tomorrow, who are red hot in their own respect, even though they're half game out from the playoff picture in the Western Conference. But like I said, you have the Warriors tomorrow. You got the Bulls on Monday, the Suns on Thursday, and then you go to Brooklyn to play the Nets, on Friday. But we'll talk more about that next week after the weekend and see how they play against the Warriors, because I do kind of want to spend a lot of time talking about the Patriots, but I do have a few more points about the Celtics that I want to get to. So as I alluded to, The Lakers were without LeBron James and Anthony Davis, which was expected. Of course, both of them are dealing with their own injuries. LeBron James' timetable to return is not really sure. I mean, hopefully soon. You really don't want to see your league's best player out for too long because, he's getting up there in age, and whether you love him or you hate him, you have to respect him. And it would have been nice if that one of them were on the court last night for this game against the Lakers, because a lot of people are going to say, like, oh, it was a fake win. They didn't have LeBron or Ant Davis. Whatever. A win's a win in my book, really. Jaylen Brown, 40 points in 32 minutes with 9 rebounds to go with that. Absolutely exceptional performance on a primetime stage, which was really nice to see, especially with Jason Tatum only scoring 14 points in 28 minutes himself. So it was nice to see Brown pick up the slack where Tatum wasn't as effective or efficient last night. And I have to say, this will be a crucial factor for the Celtics if they want to be successful, is that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum being able to play great together, or one being able to pick up the other's slack if that one is having an off night. So last night was the perfect example. Tatum was only able to score 14 points for whatever reason, but Brown was able to pick up the slack and drop 40 and to help deliver the Celtics a win. On the overtime game against the Timberwolves last week, Tatum dropped 53. How many points did Brown get that night? Brown got 26, so it's not like he had an off night himself, but the point stays the same. If one's not able to perform, you'd like to see the other one kind of pick up the slack and do more than what they're expected to do, and Brown being able to do that was a perfect example. The Celtics, over the course of the game, had command of the game throughout, but the Lakers did make a strong push and a strong surge in the second half to somewhat come back and make it a reasonable game. It was a double-digit lead for the Celtics for the majority of the game, especially in the second half. But like I said, the Lakers did make a strong push. They were trying to get closer and closer in order to force, the Celtics to really kind of buckle down. Although the Celtics only won by 8, I mean, it was a good win nonetheless. You definitely would have liked them to win by double digits because of the command that they presented throughout the majority of the game. But nonetheless, like I said, I will take the win. I'm not going to bitch and complain about a win against the Lakers in Los Angeles. But, Lakers did give me a little scare there. They did give me a little scare. So, quickly, before I go into the Patriots draft, which I'm going to talk about right in a few seconds, but I just want to kind of briefly go over what we just talked about. Sox 9-game winning streak snapped with a 4-3 walk-off loss to the Minnesota Twins. Bruins defeated the Islanders 4-1 in Boston on the first night of a back-to-back against those Islanders. Tuca gets his 300th career win in net with his first start back from injury. And the Celtics beat the Lakers 121-113 in LA as they are now on a 5-game winning streak. Things are kind of pointing, though the Red Sox did lose, things are kind of pointing up here in Boston with spring coming. A lot of stuff is happening, and I say this every damn episode because it's so true. Celtics, heat of the season. Bruins, heat of the season. Red Sox, their season just started, but so much is going on right now in baseball, let me tell you. And then the Patriots and the draft. That's coming up. And once the draft's kind of over with, there's going to be so much draft stuff to break down and such of players they traded, players they passed up on, trades they made, yada, yada, yada. But before we can get there, we need to have the draft. And before we have the draft, we got to talk about the Patriots in my mock draft that I did as the New England Patriots. So what I spent all day doing yesterday was completing 10 mock drafts on the Pro Football Focused website. Now, they're a great resource and tool to dive into the draft, dive into players, whether they're college or professional. In terms of NFL teams, they got a ton of stats, facts, and all that good stuff over there. I'm not plugging them. I'm just letting you know that they're a very credible source, and I was able to take advantage of their software and really kind of bring you the content and the information that I wanted to do. So, like I said, I did 10 mock drafts. Each mock draft, it took like 10 minutes or so it wasn't really all too much time. But it was a time investment, don't get me wrong. And in those 10 drafts, I received a letter grade post each draft for how I did. And within each draft, I got a letter grade for each pick and for each trade as I was able to conduct trades. I'll go over more about my takeaway notes later on in terms of trades and all that good stuff. But I just want to briefly go over each of the 10 drafts that I had and the letter grades I was received. So in draft number 1, I got a grade of A. Draft number 2, B. Draft number 3, B+. Number 4, A. 5, B+. 6, A-, 7, A. 8, A-. Draft number 9, A. And draft number 10, 10. So what I did, I took the liberty of doing is breaking each of those letter grades into numerical points. So I put it on a numerical number of 5. So it was a 5-point scale where an A+ would be a 5, A would be 4.5, A- 4, B+ 3.5, B, and you get the picture, right? So after breaking down and putting numbers on all of my draft grades, so like I said, number 1 got an A, number 2 B, I was able to walk away with a average of 4.05 out of 5 for my 10 mock drafts. Now, in perspective, that is slightly above an A-, which I will 100% take and walk away with proudly. So I will go over each of the 10 mock drafts, and I will kind of break them down in terms of trades I was able to make, the players I selected, and the grades I got for each player, like I kind of mentioned before. But I do want to kind of go over a few takeaways and notes that I have about the mock draft session that I was able to do. So first point is I tried to be aggressive with the trades moving up and moving down just about everywhere in the draft, whether it was the first round, second round, third round, whatever round. I really try to put myself in Bill Belichick's shoes because on draft days, he does like to maneuver, whether it is moving up or moving down, trying to get a collection of assets to either move up again in the draft and kind of keep some for himself, or just, simply moving on from whatever because he doesn't like a player at a certain position. So I was really able to do that, and I tried to do that a lot throughout the draft. I was able to consistently find quarterbacks in the second or third round that would be nice potential quarterbacks for the Patriots if the Patriots were to select them in said rounds. But I do have to say, the top 5 quarterbacks in the draft, Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, Mac Jones, and Trey Lance, all went in the top 10 frequently. Once every couple of drafts that I had, Jones or Lance would slip to the Patriots at 15, where I had a decision to make. I will say, Mac Jones did slip to 19 in 2 different drafts. And at 19, that's where the Washington football team is selecting, where it would make a lot of sense if, a quarterback did slip to them and they would scoop one up, especially a quote-unquote smart decision-making quarterback like Mac Jones would be a good fit down there. But like I said, and we'll see in the drafts that I did, Mac Jones and Trey Lance both slipped. So keep that in mind come draft day, because a lot of people are saying, 5 quarterbacks, top 8 picks, top 10 picks, which is absolutely possible. Not going to deny it. But, we saw Jordan Love last year, who was, projected, top 10, top 15. He slipped all the way down to 26 or 7, I believe it was, to the Packers. So anything is possible on draft day where teams are trying to get to fill their needs and not necessarily the best prospect per se. I was consistently able to find linebackers throughout rounds 2 to 5 if I wasn't able to take Micah Parsons in the first round. A lot of mock drafts and a lot of people think Micah Parsons, the linebacker from Penn State, will fall to the Patriots at 15. I'm a firm believer in that myself. And if he was there, I was oftentimes able to take him. I don't think I passed up on him. Maybe once, I don't remember. Actually, no, I don't think I did pass up on him at all now that I think of it. But anyways, if I wasn't able to get him, because I think one draft he was taken 4th, and then there was 7th and 9th, where it's kind of more reasonable. I was able to kind of find linebackers in rounds 2 to 5, especially in those 2 and 3 rounds, to kind of fill that need the Patriots have at linebacker if I wasn't able to take Micah Parsons. I wasn't a fan of what was available for the position in the later rounds, so 6th and 7th. It felt like it was really, really thin there. So what I was really able to do, and once I kind of noticed that trend, was really kind of take one early so I didn't have to worry about it later, where my options were not really good at all. Where at that point in the draft, it's cluttered by defensive backs, running backs, D linemen, maybe wide receivers that aren't too good. So definitely something that I was able to kind of keep note of in my mind. Let's see, next point. There was good depth. Speaking of defensive backs, there was good depth of defensive backs in the mid to late rounds. I know I kind of mentioned that there were a bunch of them there, and that's true. I saw a couple times that a projected or ranked like 46th, 7th prospect was like in the 5th round, sometimes in the 6th round. It's like, what are you doing over here? So mid round defensive backs were available in deeper rounds, which was very nice to see. And like I mentioned, that 46th rank, I forget his name. I think I took him a couple times. If I see it, I'll kind of mention it. Who was in that that mid to round area, pushing back the mid round defensive backs that were supposed to be projected to go in the mid rounds later, which was a pleasant surprise because Patriots are going to potentially fill two needs at cornerback depending on what happens with J.C. Jackson and if the Patriots decide to move on from Stephon Gilmore, which, the thing with J.C. Jackson will hopefully be decided very shortly where he comes back to New England, and I don't think the Patriots will trade Gilmore, but he might get, at least trade him now, but he might be on the move come the trade deadline. Just don't know. We have to see where the team is at and, kind of see where Gilmore is at in terms of a potential extension with the Patriots. So I did try to keep that in mind because more likely than not, we're going to need to fill a need, especially with Jason McCourty no longer on the team. Jonathan Jones is your slot corner, and then J.C. Jackson may not be returning, which is very possible. Besides those that are going to be projected in the first round, there's no... Oh, wait, I skipped something. Oh, I'm sorry. I was able to receive high grades on D linemen and edge rushers in later rounds to fill the depth at that position. So the Patriots did do a good job this offseason filling that need with their free agent acquisitions. But there's still a depth need to be filled there because you need depth. The opposing offense goes on a long 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 play drive. You're going to have to rotate bodies for different schemes, different lineups, whatever it may be. I think the Patriots are very thin, depth-wise. The front seven still. So I was able to get good D linemen and edge rushers in the later rounds, which was nice to see. Besides those that are going to be, or I should say projected to go in the first round, there was really no need to take a defensive lineman in the early rounds, like, second or third round, because like I said, there was good depth there in the later rounds, even in the mid rounds, like, 4 and 5. I think 4 is kind of a stretch as well, unless your team has a blaring need. The Patriots don't have that blaring need, so that's why I'm thinking 5, 6, or even 7. But I feel like 5 or 6 is that good little middle ground to go take a depth at defensive lineman there, because like I did mention, and you'll see in the mock drafts that I was able to get a lot of good depth fillers down there and receive high grades for those players that I was able to take. I alluded to this earlier, like I mentioned, the trading. So it was just me in control of the Patriots among the 31 other teams being controlled by the computer or the CPU. And trading with the CPU seemed very realistic, or at least realistic enough for trades to work. Trades weren't too easy to make, nor did they seem too hard to make. I felt that I was able to get future draft picks for this year's pick very easily, though. So it was a weird little counterbalance there. But however, same year draft pick trading felt very, very fair. I was able to move up by giving up this year's draft picks. I don't want to say easily, but fairly. So, I want your pick that's 20 picks ahead of me. I'll give you that, a draft pick and another to move up and switch. And I feel like I was able to do that with ease. And also, trying to keep in mind, the Patriots in future drafts when I was moving down to, kind of look ahead and get future picks for the following drafts that I was able to, because the Patriots did go out and sign a bunch of guys. So is there a need to go out and draft a bunch of prospects when you have last year's draft class and then whoever you selected this year's draft class, and then those that you're bringing in at free agency, those that are coming back from injury? So all those things you need to keep in mind. I don't mind the Patriots trading out of certain draft picks later in the draft to kind of push them for next year. So for example, you take a 6th round pick, you trade it for a 5 and a 7 or whatever. just stuff like that is, things that I also tried to keep in mind as I was making trades as well. To my awareness or my knowledge, there was no computer to computer trades. Now, there could have been, and I just didn't notice. But from my awareness, there was no CPU to CPU trades, which was, I guess, fair. And did it really matter if they did? I don't think so. But I think in terms of realism, it was good to see that they didn't make those trades, because if the computer was to go on and make trades, I think it would just get really stupid and bizarre where, I don't know, the Chiefs trade up to get the number 4 pick in the draft. Like, that's not realistic. And I tried to really keep this as realistic as possible from my end. So no computer trades were realistic, I guess, on the computer's end, right? CPU teams were taking what their team's needs were, and they weren't just taking the quote-unquote best available on the board, which is very nice. So throughout the entirety of the draft, there was team needs listed, and for the Patriots, it was quarterback, wide receiver, cornerback, which is very, very true. And for other teams, they had, 3, 4, 5 needs, whatever it may be. And those teams were really addressing their needs, which was very nice to see. So, say a player dropped into like 15, like say Trey Lance dropped to 17 for whatever reason. Let's say 16, because the Cardinals have Kyler Murray and they're not going to move on from him. So say Trey Lance dropped to 16 for, just go with it. The Cardinals weren't just going to take Trey Lance in these mock draft simulators, because their need isn't at quarterback. Their need is elsewhere. So that was really comforting in knowing that it was going to still stick to that realistic type of drafting, per se, that we would see hopefully and potentially here in the real world. But then again, on the other side of the coin, if Trey Lance was to somehow drop to 16, would the Cardinals pass up on him? I don't know. You draft him and then trade him. Yeah, I mean, it'd be kind of stupid if he did, but hey, anything is possible in the NFL draft. It really is. It really is. But it was nice to see that computer teams were not just taking best available players, they were actually addressing their needs. And speaking of team needs, once you took a player, so for me, if I was to take a quarterback, that need wouldn't go away and be replaced with another need, or just completely, crossed off or whatever. Like, that need would still be kind of there. So for the Patriots only have 3 needs. I can address that in the first 3 rounds, let's say, but they're still there. So you got to have to know your team and what they need, besides just what, PFF is telling me. Overall, I was able to venture and enjoy many opportunities for the Patriots throughout all 7 rounds of my 10 mock drafts. I was really able to further educate myself on what is available at various rounds or various sections of the draft in terms of players and positions. So like I mentioned before, depth D lineman or backup D lineman you can get in the later rounds. There's some good linebacker depth in the middle rounds, and running backs you can probably find all over the draft. Really, wide receivers, there's a good selection of them in the middle rounds, like 4, 5, 6. As you get to the later rounds with 6. That's stuff that you need to know and to be able to make good, accurate suggestions or, mock drafts like I did. And I was really able to kind of further my knowledge about this, so I can give you the proper analysis and the proper breakdown as I'm about to go over my 10 mock drafts. But if I weren't able to do this and try to have this Patriots draft segment right here, it wouldn't go all too well. So I'm really glad I was able to take the time to give myself the preparation and the information through 10 mock drafts to give you the proper information and knowledge that you need as you listen to this podcast, as the 2021 NFL draft is upon us. Like I mentioned, I will briefly go over my 10 mock drafts. I'm not going to go over every single pick, but I do kind of want to highlight a few players that I was able to get in here. As we look at the first mock draft, we have I was able to trade up with the Dallas Cowboys, which a lot of mock drafts, out there, ESPN, Yahoo, wherever you want to find your news, kind of has this projection between the Cowboys and the Patriots. So I was able to kind of do that. I got an A+ grade, and I was able to take Trey Lance, quarterback out of North Dakota State. I believe at this time, Mac Jones was taken, so Lance was the only remaining quarterback. And I really feel like, oh, well, if it's not this year, then let's actually move up and go get one. Come the second round, I traded my 46th pick. I moved that to the football team. I moved back 5 picks, getting a couple others. Got a B+ there, and I was able to take Diami Brown, the wide receiver from North Carolina, addressing that need. I kind of alluded to this during the week with the Julian Edelman retirement, is that, Patriots are going to have to address wide receiver now. They have Jacoby Myers, Nelson Aguilar, Kendrick Bourne, N'Keal Harry, if you want to even count him, Gunnar Olszewski, if you want to count him too. But I feel like the Patriots might have to go out and actually draft another wide receiver to replace Julian Edelman. Jamin Davis was a linebacker that I saw frequently in that mid. He was projected like 54, I think, in terms of player rank, and I was able to get him at overall 74. Other than that, I really have no other takeaways from this first draft. Calvin Joseph, the cornerback from Kentucky, with the 88 overall pick, I feel like was a good one. I moved up to get him. I had to move up 8 spots to get him with the LA Rams, and I got a C for that trade, which was a little disappointing, but totally understanding if you want to go out and get your player. Moving to the second mock draft. I tried to make a lot of trades where I move up because I did have, a bunch of picks, and I kind of want to push them into the basket and really go out and get players I really, really wanted, because like I mentioned earlier, Patriots have all these draft picks, but they brought in so many guys. The draft class from last year, people returning from injury, plus the draft class that you have coming in this year. So I really kind of wanted to slim down on the draft with this mock draft, and I tried to have different themes in all of them. But I go out and I get Rashad Bateman, the wide receiver from Minnesota. I got a D+ there. There was no quarterback. There was no Micah Parsons. There was no those big 3 wide receivers left. So I really wanted to address that need and get Bateman, who is a talented wide receiver out of Minnesota and who will probably go in the top 20. But I got a D+ here, which is a little disappointing. First pick in the second round at 33, I trade up with the Jaguars. I move up 13 picks. I got a C+ for that grade, and I drafted Asante Samuel Jr. from Florida State. Got a B- in that pick, addressing the cornerback need that we'll more than likely need to address at some point, regardless if J.C. Jackson returns, regardless if Stephon Gilmore is not traded. It's still a need the Patriots need to be on the lookout for. Other than that, here's Jamin Davis again. I was able to get him at 97 this time, the linebacker from Kentucky, addressing that need. But before that, I kind of want to talk about Davis Mills here, quarterback from Stanford. I was able to get him at 54, and I've heard a lot of rumors and a lot of news that, Stanford, is a perfect fit for Bill Belichick, being that smart decision-making quarterback. And this is a viable option here too. Would I rather have him over Kellen Mond? Probably not, but at this time, I think Mond was gone. Mond went early in this draft, I believe, but still being able to get a B+ on this draft and the Jamin Davis pick, which was 20 picks later or something, 10 picks later than the previous one, still good to walk away with. I trade up with the Chargers here in the end of the third round to go up and get Jamin Davis. I got a C for that trade, which was a little disappointing. Overall, I got a B on this one, which was the lowest out of all of my drafts. A little disappointing, but it is what it is. Moving on to the third one. This one was really interesting because, like I said, this one I really tried to venture in the moving up and the moving down, and I feel like I was able to do a good job here. I was able to get Micah Parsons, the linebacker from Penn State, with that 15th overall pick. Got an A for that, obviously. Then I went out and got Kellen Mond, the quarterback from Texas A&M that I just talked about. I got a C+ for this, kind of reaching on him here in the second round at 46. But if he's there at 46, there's absolutely no reason why the Patriots should not take this guy. So getting a C+ on this one is totally okay for me because I feel like this is the most realistic route and probably what a lot of Patriot fans want the Patriots to do. Is to go out, get Parsons, second round, go out, get Mond, and then maybe address your other needs after that. I got a B- on a trade with the Browns where I move up from 120, 197, and a 7th round pick in 2022, and I get 59. Not too sure how I get a B- on this pick when I'm moving up basically 2 full rounds without giving up anything, without giving up a lot. Very questionable grading here, but I went out to get Ronnie Perkins, which is edge rusher from Oklahoma. And then here we see Jamin Davis, the linebacker from Kentucky, again getting a B+ where I take him 1/10 overall. Actually traded up with the Browns again to get him. And I got a C on this trade where I trade 139 and 188 for 110 to get Jamin Davis there. Overall, I got a B plus on this draft. Kind of confusing why. I can understand the Jamar Jefferson getting a C plus there. Patriots don't really need a running back, but you don't know what you're gonna have or do with Sony Michel moving forward after this year. Rex Burkhead's not back, so just kind of having another running back. James White is back on a 1-year deal, so he might be gone next year. I feel like bringing someone in towards the end of the draft wouldn't be a terrible idea, so I'm not a big fan of this grade right here. Getting another cornerback here in the late round. Elijah Griffin, cornerback from USC, got a C plus there, addressing that need really late in the draft, but I probably should have addressed it earlier, but it is what it is. Didn't like that grade there either. Moving to the 4th draft. This one was really interesting because as you can see, Kyle Pitts, the tight end from Florida, fell to 15. I don't know about you, but I don't see Kyle Pitts falling to 15 at all. I don't see him falling any further than 10. I really don't. A lot of people love him, his play style, his play skill set, his athleticism, his frame, his body. A lot of people love that from a tight end, period, but also as a receiver as well. So he was able to fall, like I said, no Parsons, no quarterback, no wide receivers, able to get Kyle Pitts there. Absolutely had to. I traded the 46th pick in the 2nd round to the Seahawks to get 56. I got a 2nd round in 2022 and a 4th round in 2024. Just like I said, thinking ahead like Bill Belichick loves to do. I was able to fleece a 2nd round pick from the Seahawks, which was, good move for me. I'm only moving 10 spots back, still in the 2nd round. Would you call it fleecing? Probably not, but I got a B plus for this grade, for this trade, which was very nice. I go out and get Dyami Brown again, the wide receiver from UNC. And then I make another trade, this time with the Texans moving up, where I get 67 and I give them 122, 188, and 242 in the 7th round. Got a B plus for that. Moving up to get Kellen Mond there. Got a B plus grade for him this time as I take him 21 picks later. But is he going to be there 21 picks later? I don't know, and I don't think so. Mainstay, Jamin Davis, linebacker, Kentucky at 96 again. So I'm really able to see him in the 40s, into the 100s. So going to be really interesting to see where he actually goes in this draft because, like I said, I've been able to find him kind of all over the place. And then towards the end of this draft, I trade 197 to the Raiders for 200 in a 3rd round pick in 2023, and I only get a B plus. I think this is an absolute fleecing of a deal where I only move 3 spots back late in the draft where I pretty much address all my needs. And I get a 3rd round pick in 2 years. And I get a B plus. Man, that should have been at least an A. That should have been at least an A grade. But overall in this draft, I got an A. Really like this draft. Really like this style. I just don't think Kellen Mond is going to be there at 67. If you switch Mond with Brown, I would really like that flow of things. Pitts, Mond, Brown, Davis, and then whatever after that. So I really like the flow of this one. Number 5. This one, you can really see. This one is. I didn't do good on this one. I really didn't. But let's address it. So I was able to get quarterback Trey Lance from North Dakota State. I got an A plus for that grade. I really like this pick here, especially the way this style went. The other 4 quarterbacks were gone. All the wide receivers were gone. Pitts, Parsons, all gone. Really felt like that, Trey Lance falling to my lap at 15 was the way to go. If everyone else is gone at 15, and I mean, you'll see later, but I took a cornerback there. Didn't get a good grade out of it. So if it's not a quarterback, if it's not a wide receiver, and it's not Micah Parsons, I don't know what the Patriots are going to do at 15. But I get Trey Lance, who's probably going to be the future quarterback of the Patriots, according to this mock draft. After Cam Newton, I got him a weapon, Dyami Brown. Got a C plus this time. I got a C plus for him. And then Kelvin Joseph, the cornerback from Kentucky. C plus at 96. Then I make a little funky trade with the New Orleans Saints where I trade 122, 188, and 242 for 98, moving up 26 picks or so in the draft, and getting a 7th round pick in return. C+ for that trade, but I was able to move up and get Jamin Davis. Again, I did 5 drafts in a row. I get this guy. I really liked what it said with this report. I really liked, not that Kentucky's a good football school, and I'm not trying to be biased about Kentucky because they're not a football program, nor do I like them for football. But, just what I read about him, really feel like he would fit into the Patriots. Was really able to find him all over the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th rounds. C+ there is a little disappointing. Milton Williams was this D lineman that I saw frequently in the 4th, 5th, 6th round where, I kind of mentioned you were able to find D linemen. It was him, someone Brown, and then another person that was really there a lot in 4, 5, 6 in those rounds. Got a C+ here. Probably took him a little too early at 120. Would like to see him go maybe around the 186 area. But speaking of 186, I get Antonio Nunn, the wide receiver from Buffalo. Got a B+ there. So I took 2 wide receivers in this draft. And in order to get Nunn, I traded the 177 pick, and I traded that to the Jets, and I got 186 back, moving back 9 picks. But I also got a 2023 4th round pick as well. I got a B for that draft, for that grade. And again, thinking ahead. And then the last trade that I made is I had 197, and I moved that to Detroit, and I got a 5th round 2022 back. Again, it goes with the theme of you have all these players you're drafting, players from last year coming back from injury, the players you brought in. Feel like that was just kind of a worthless pick to me at that time. Just get something for next year where, the roster is going to look probably completely different again come next year. So I got a 5th round pick for that. Overall, I got a B+ with this draft. Very confused how I did when I had this slew of C+, with pick 46, 96, 98, whatever. Trey Lance, getting an A+ for that grade. Really loved it, and probably carrying that overall B+ grade that I got with this draft. So halfway through, looking at number 6. And I should have touched upon this earlier, but if you want to follow along with my mock drafts, I'm putting all the pictures that I have from the mock draft on the YouTube version of this podcast. So if you're watching on YouTube, you're going to be able to follow along nicely to what I'm talking about in terms of each mock draft that I did. You'll be able to see the trades that I made, the grades, and just about everything that I'm talking about and I'm seeing on your screen as well. So if you want to have more of a visual, go check out the YouTube version of episode 42, and you'll be able to follow along just nicely. If the audio version is what you're looking for and you're content with just hearing my voice yabbering about it, then let's just keep it moving, all right? So moving over to the 6th mock draft. This one was a doozy. I really made a lot of trades in this draft. I was really trying to, like I said, move up, move down, be very flexible and fluctuating a lot here. So this one was tough. I took Patrick Surtain, cornerback from Alabama, 12th overall, where I actually move up from 15, trading with the Falcons. I give them 15 and 197, and I get 12. I got a C+ grade there, and I get a C for taking Surtain. If I remember correctly, all 5 quarterbacks were gone. Kyle Pitts, Micah Parsons, all 3 wide receivers, Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith, and Jalen Waddle were all gone. Caleb Farley was gone too. I was like, whoa, slow down. I'm not trying to take an offensive tackle here. Because I think, what's his name? Rashawn Slater, the Northwestern offensive lineman, was still on the board. Christian Darrisaw from Virginia Tech was still on the board. And I was like, I'm not looking for this. So I just made the trade. Get a lockdown cornerback. In the grand scheme of things, if Jackson and Gilmore come back for 2021, might not be the best move, but this is absolutely a future move. Then I trade the Chiefs 46 overall for 63, 94, and a 5th round in 2022. I got an A- there. And then with the pick that I moved back from, I got Kellen Mond, the quarterback from Texas A&M. Got a B+ there. Jamin Davis at 96, B+ there. Someone who we haven't talked about yet is Josh Palmer, the wide receiver from Tennessee. He was somebody that I was able to see from rounds 3, 4. I don't think I saw him in the 5th round, maybe once or twice, but I got a B+ here addressing that need. So my first 4 picks, I addressed cornerback, quarterback, linebacker, and wide receiver, which are probably the 4 main needs that this team has. And I tried to do that frequently with all these mock drafts, was address those 4 needs first, and then everything else kind of fell into place. I then took 94 that I got from the Chiefs. I traded that to the Lions to get 101, 112, and then a 6th-round pick in 2022. I got a B for that draft. I keep saying draft, for that trade. And then Milton Williams here again, C plus at 112, the D lineman from Louisiana Tech. I got another wide receiver in Dax Milne, the wide receiver from BYU. So this was one of Zach Wilson's favorite targets this past year at BYU. Zach Wilson's projected to go number 2, maybe number 3, depending what happens, but probably number 2. And, getting one of his guys, if Wilson turns out to be something, hopefully things will kind of show that Milne turns into something himself. This one, I got the running back from Michigan, Chris Evans. Kind of got him because I was in a pinch at that spot, and I just traded 122 to the Falcons, and I got this pick from the Falcons. And I got a 2nd-round pick as well for 2022, so I felt like that was a good fleecing right there. Moving back 26 or so picks, get a 2nd-round pick as well. But I kind of took Chris Evans, the running back, because of, Steve Rogers, Captain America from Marvel. I don't really know what else to tell you there. But overall, A- for this draft. Like you can see a couple here, trades. I trade 188 and 242 to move up at 155. I trade 177 to the Vikings for 199 and a 3rd-round pick in 2023. And then I give the Rams pick 120 for a 2nd-round pick in 2022. So really trying to maneuver, move up, move down, really think ahead and think about the future at the same time. Like I said, A- for this trade, for this draft. One of my favorite drafts entirely because I address things, I make trades, I move up, move down, all that good stuff. Number 7. All right, first time Devontae Smith finally falls to us at number 15. I don't think he will in real life, but he was there. I had to do it. Then the 25th pick in the draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars' 2nd first-round pick that they got from the Rams for the Jalen Ramsey trade. I give them 46, 120, and 188 for that pick. I got a grade of C, which was whatever. And I go out and get Greg Newsome II for the cornerback from Northwestern. I got a B for that pick. So I address quarterback. I address wide receiver as well. And I really feel like, that was a good move all the way around. But, their grading system didn't think so. Then I trade my 96th overall pick and the 139th pick to the Colts to move up to 54, also receiving 206. I got an A- for that trade, and I walk away with Kellen Mond in the 2nd round here. Felt like that was a trade I need to take because I don't know how much further he was going to fall, and I did not want to wait until the 3rd round to pick him up. I got a B+ for taking Mond there. Then I trade 122 to the Tennessee Titans, where I get a 2nd-round pick in 2022, and I only move back 4 spots. Complete fleecing of the Titans, but I walk away with a B+ grade. Makes 0 sense. I get Justin Hillard, the linebacker from Ohio State, where I trade the Steelers 126, and I get 128 back, moving back 2 spots. Or I guess 3 spots if you want to count 126, 7, 8, whatever. And I also get a 3rd-round pick in 2023, but I only get a B grade. Absolute fleecing. I only walk away with a B grade. Whatever. At the end of the day, I got an A for this one. I really like this one too, this draft as well. I move up, I move down. Kairos Tonga, the D lineman from BYU. He was the 3rd D lineman that I was talking about beforehand that I kind of saw frequently in the 4th, 5th, 6th rounds. So I was able to snag him at 179, getting a B+ grade. Overall, like I said, this is an A draft. I feel like it should have been higher, especially the trades, but I will take it nonetheless, addressing all my needs with my first 4 picks per usual. As we look at the 8th mock draft, on the home stretch here, we only got 3 left. You can see, if you're watching on YouTube, I get Mac Jones at 15. Falls to me at 15. I take him, A+ grade. I get Diami Brown, the wide receiver from North Carolina, B+. Then I get Kelvin Joseph, the cornerback from Kentucky, which is a C+ pick there. But in order to get him, I had to move up. I traded 96 and 242 to the football team for 82 and 246 there. Really feel like, I didn't lose too much. I only moved 4 spots back in the 7th round, and I was able to jump 14 spots, so it was a trade well worth it for me. But I only get a B- from this, which was very questionable. I took Jamin Davis with my 87th pick that I got from the Steelers, where I traded them 122 and 246. I got a B- for that trade, but I'll take it because I get my linebacker. Again, I address my top 4 needs. I get Milton Williams, again, the D lineman from Louisiana Tech, at 120. And then I made one more trade with the Tennessee Titans. I get 139. Oh, I give them 139, excuse me. And I get 166 and a 3rd round pick in 2022 in return. I walk away with a B grade there. Didn't make many trades in this one. I only made 3. I really wanted to slow this one down a little bit. Just try to see what it would look more natural in terms of people or teams staying still in the draft. But at the end of the day, I walk away with an A- for this mock draft, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Not a lot of movement, but it just, felt right to kind of slow things down a little bit. Whew. All right, 2 more. Number 9. Again, we see Mac Jones there, 15 from the quarterback from Alabama. Very, very good pick there, consistently getting an A+, 2 times in a row now. Then a couple picks go by later, and I still see Patrick Surtain, the cornerback from Alabama, at 18. And I'm like, whoa. Hold on. The Dolphins have a quarterback. I believe in this draft they drafted Jamar Chase, I believe. They already got cornerbacks. I'm like, all right, let's try to make a move here. Brian Flores, Bill Belichick, they're buddies. So I give them 46 and 120, and I get 18 in return, B- grade, but I think it was well worth it because I was able to take Patrick Surtain, cornerback from Alabama. I got an A for taking him there, and I think Mac Jones and Surtain, huge draft picks there, 15 and 18 respectively. I make a couple more trades with the Cardinals, the Bears, and the Steelers, just maneuvering and finagling some picks, moving up, moving down, getting more picks, moving them around. I get Jamin Davis at 55. I tried to take him a little earlier this time. Got a C+ for that. It is what it is. Then I make another trade with the Jets, moving back up into 66, where I get Cade Johnson, the wide receiver from South Dakota State, which was, or I guess kind of is, Trey Lance's favorite target. So, I go out and I try to get Zach Wilson's favorite target. Then I try to go out and get Cade Johnson, who is Trey Lance's favorite target. And I got a B+ there. Couple more trades that, kind of occur. Nothing really flashy. Milton Williams, I kind of mentioned him, B+. Josh Palmer, who I was able to, I mentioned before, from Tennessee. He drops to 139, where I take him. And Jamar Jefferson, the running back from Oregon State, I get him again late in the draft, getting a B+ there, just in case, the running back room could be, looking different come next year. So overall, got an A for this draft. I really like this one. I was really able to finagle and maneuver those picks like I mentioned, taking a pick, moving back a couple spots, getting more picks, taking that pick, moving it back a couple spots, getting more picks, just really trying to package a bunch of things up to push forward or to push back. It was really enjoyable trading a bunch of these picks in this mock draft. But here we go. The final mock draft. Oh, okay. Last one, guys. Bear with me, please. So Micah Parsons and Mac Jones were both on the board when it comes to 15. And I'm thinking to myself, if I'm Bill Belichick and I'm Patriot Nation, who do I want? I would probably say a lot of people wanted Mac Jones earlier in the offseason, but, as things kind of go around, I'd probably say that Patriots should take Micah Parsons. So I took Micah Parsons. I waited a couple more picks. And at this point, I've realized that Mac Jones fell to 19 to the Washington football team a couple times, like I mentioned. And I stopped the Dolphins, and I was like, let's make a trade happen here. Let's make something work. So I trade them my first round pick next draft and 122 for 18 overall. I got an A for that grade. Then I go out and select Mac Jones at 18. I get an A+ for that pick. I'm like, whoa, All right. I'm like, oh, yeah. So then, 40. So I didn't even have to move 46, which was my second round pick, which was the nice thing. I could have moved that and maybe like another second or third round pick. But, in terms of reality, probably not going to be able to get 18 from the Dolphins or really, from anybody without moving another first round pick. So then here comes 46, and I trade that to the Las Vegas Raiders. And I got a first round pick in 2022 plus 162 overall. I got a B for that grade. So I kind of take my first round pick, which I would hope and expect would be late in the first round pick, to get another first round pick that I would hope would be, in the mid rounds, depending on how good Vegas does. But I really think that was a win-win, bang-bang all the way around. You get your quarterback by only trading 122 and 122, 162, and then that second round pick 46, while you get to move up in the first round next year, almost, or hopefully, right? Jamin Davis, again, 96, linebacker from Kentucky, got a B plus there. I move up to 103 to take Kelvin Joseph, the cornerback from Kentucky. I traded the 139, 177 with the Rams to move up there. You see Josh Palmer here, the wide receiver from Tennessee that I was able to select. So the first 5 picks, linebacker, quarterback, linebacker, cornerback, wide receiver, bang, 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 bang. Really nice pickings. I felt like I got Rashard Wild Goose, the cornerback from Wisconsin, and got a B+. But that was in the trade of moving my 46th overall pick to the Raiders for the future first, and I got that pick, and that's who I took with that pick in that trade. The last trade that I made was with the Colts, where I give them 197. I move back 9 spots to 206, but I get a 2022 7th round and a 2023 6th round pick. Thinking ahead, moving something that I don't really need, and just kind of moving on. Overall, I got an A for this draft. I really felt comfortable. I really liked what I did here. Absolutely plausible. You're starting to hear a little bit of news and stuff that the Patriots might trade back into the first round to either select a quarterback or someone that has slipped in the draft after they've taken their guy at 15, whoever that may be. All right. That was a lot. Bear with me. I got one more segment. I have in front of me, which I'm going to express to all of you right now, my personal first round mock draft. Now, I'm only going to go over the first 15 picks because, I don't want to spoil all the beans yet. And I can release my full first round mock draft if enough people want it, if enough people request it. But right now, I'm only going to go over the first 15 because the Patriots are at 15, and that's essentially half the draft. So, number 1, quarterback, Trevor Lawrence out of Clemson to Jacksonville Jaguars. No surprise there. Number 2, quarterback, Zach Wilson from BYU. No doubt there. Quarterback, Justin Fields, Ohio State to the 49ers. A lot of speculation that could be Mac Jones, that could be Justin Fields. We just don't know. If the 49ers go with the quarterback, you can expect Jimmy Garoppolo to be on the move somewhere, somehow. Number 4, the Atlanta Falcons. With what just happened, they're going to take quarterback Trey Lance, who's kind of, the project quarterback out of the group of those 5. They still have Matt Ryan under a big contract with a lot of guaranteed money. So you start Matt Ryan this year or next year. You let Trey Lance kind of learn and develop. And then come the third year, you move on from Matt Ryan, and Trey Lance is your quarterback, good to go. Number 5, offensive tackle Penei Sewell out of Oregon to Cincinnati. Got to protect Joe Burrow. Number 6, the Miami Dolphins select tight end Kyle Pitts from Florida. He is, in my projection, the first offensive weapon to go off the board outside of quarterback, and I think Miami could really use a tight end such as himself there. You throw him alongside with Mike Gesicki, who's, he is what he is, but then you got Devontae Parker as well, and that offense is starting to look a little bit better. I would not be surprised if they go out and get a wide receiver, whether it's Chase, Smith, or even Jalen Waddle, but I think Kyle Pitts is the best receiver out of the group of those 4, although he is a tight end. Speaking of Jamar Chase, I have him going number 7 to the Detroit Lions. Number 8, questionable. You would think this would be a quarterback, but all four quarterbacks so far are gone. The Panthers just traded for Sam Darnold, who they're probably going to want to be their quarterback moving forward. So I have them taking Devontae Smith, the wide receiver out of Alabama. You lose Curtis Samuel. You bring in Sam Darnold. You have Robbie Anderson still. You have DJ Moore still. But give your new franchise quarterback a franchise weapon, and that is Devontae Smith. Number 9, the Denver Broncos take cornerback Caleb Farley out of Virginia Tech. They need to bolster and fix that defense if they want to hang and tang with the Chiefs in that division. They could easily take Patrick Surtain here, who I actually have going to the Dallas Cowboys at 10. I could see Farley and Surtain flip-flop, between the Broncos and Cowboys very easily. Number 11, the Giants are taking offensive lineman Rashawn Slater, who I kind of mentioned a little bit before. They need to kind of protect Daniel Jones. They got Kenny Golladay, so there's no need for a wide receiver. They got the tight end Evan Ingram. They got Saquon coming back, so help Saquon in the running game. Help protect Danny Dimes. I think Slater's a good pick here. Number 12, Jalen Waddle going to the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts is their guy. They've kind of struck out on past 2 first rounds with wide receivers. Hopefully, third year is the charm. Could I see them go in a different direction here? Potentially. If one of those 2 cornerbacks fall, I could see that happening as well. But I think they're going to go offense here, although they have defensive needs. 13, the Los Angeles Chargers taking offensive tackle Christian Darrisaw. I really think that they need an offensive lineman, specifically a tackle one way or another, whether they trade up to get Penei Sewell, whether he falls back, whether Rashawn Slater is there. I think they need to get an offensive tackle to protect Justin Herbert. He had a great, phenomenal rookie season, but to help him stay healthy, to help that running game, you need to protect him. So I feel like that's where they're going to go there. 14, the Minnesota Vikings also take an offensive lineman, Elijah Vera Tucker from USC. They need to protect Kirk Cousins in that running game. They already got 2 stud wide receivers in Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson, plus Dalvin Cook in the backfield, so there's really not too many offensive needs there. If they want to go defense, they could take Micah Parsons, but is there need on defense, or specifically the middle linebacker position? No, because they have, what's his name? Anthony Barr and Kendrick, Eric Kendrick, yeah. So they have those 2 linebackers, so there's really no need for them to take Micah Parsons. At 14, protect your quarterback, protect your running game, and help your passing game strive. Speaking of Micah Parsons, I do have him falling to 15 at New England Patriots. Perfect pickup for the Patriots. I really see this happening, especially with the team needs that are in front of them. I think it would be stupid to trade up unless they're really sold on a quarterback. And if you've been following along with my first round mock draft, though it's been a little fast, you would have noticed that I didn't say Mac Jones, because if he doesn't go to Atlanta or at San Francisco, at number 3, I think he's going to fall out completely. And if he does go to number 3 to San Francisco, Justin Fields could absolutely go to a team like Denver or even like the Patriots. So it's really going to be interesting to see what happens, because with San Francisco moving up, it kind of shows you that they want a new quarterback. Could they take someone else? Sure. Be kind of pointless, especially trading what you traded to go up to number 3. There's so much going on. It's really interesting to really just dive in and break it all down. Let's see. Jacksonville's going to take a quarterback. The Jets will take one. The 49ers more than likely will. Falcons will take one. There's 4 quarterbacks gone. Bengals don't need one. Dolphins shouldn't take one because they still have Tua. The Detroit Lions, they could take a quarterback, but I think they have a bigger need at wide receiver because Jared Goff will do okay for now, and you could probably address the quarterback need in a year or 2. Panthers just got a quarterback, so they don't need one anymore. Help your quarterback out. Broncos and the Cowboys both have bigger issues on defense. You could see a quarterback go to Denver if there's one available. That would be basically them giving up on Drew Lock at that point. So that's kind of why I left Mac Jones out of the top 15. And just for fun, I'll tell you where I think Mac Jones is going to go on my first round mock draft, and that is to 19 to the Washington football team. If Mac Jones doesn't go number 3 to the 49ers, I really think that he will fall all the way down to 19. And for those that want to see my full first round mock draft, if enough people request it, I will release it on social media, on YouTube, wherever I can put it, I will put it there. But guys, I know this was a really long episode. I thank you so much for listening all the way through. And if you have done so this far, reach out to me on Twitter and on Instagram. Like the video, comment down below if you're watching on YouTube. Let me know that you listened to this whole thing, because a lot of information I just spewed at you, whether it was talking about the Sox, Bruins, or Celtics early, or diving deep into the mock drafts that I did and kind of going over my personal first round mock draft, or at least half of it, I should say. So thank you so much for downloading, listening, and enjoying. I know this is a super long one, but this is one that's well overdue and that I needed to dive into ASAP, because like I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the episode, the real draft is less than 2 weeks away. It is Thursday, April 29th. That is 13 days away from Friday, which is today. I don't have my phone. I kind of threw because it kept vibrating. What's today's date? The 16th? Yeah, 16th. We have a lot to talk about in terms of the Patriots and what they're going to do in the draft. So I really wanted to mention this now before it was too late. So everybody, like I said, thank you so much for downloading, listening, and enjoying. Reach out to me on social media. Comment down below if you're watching on YouTube. Let me know what you think about literally anything that I talked about. Whether it was the Sox, the Bruins, the Celtics, a mock draft, a pick that I took in the mock draft, or maybe you're going to kind of pick apart my personal first round mock draft. And you should think, or I should think, that Micah Parsons going to go in the top 10. Tell me why. I want to know why. You know, if any of this is wrong and you don't think it's right, let me know. I love everyone that's, reaching out to me already, giving me their thoughts. It's really helping the show out, and I greatly appreciate that. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. I love every single one of you, but this is going to wrap it up for this episode. Have a phenomenal weekend. Try to stay dry. Try to stay warm. Hopefully, warm weather is coming soon. I hate this cold. It reminds me of winter. It's abysmal. It's miserable. But like I said, I'll see you in the next one. I love you. See ya.